the end of the day.
Baldy, I want to warn you today as we bring in our guy Brian Baldinger. You're entering the war zone today.
What's the warning?
Baldy, I'm brilliant, and these two are just soft and weak and have no guts. That's what's going on.
That doesn't sound like somebody from Chicago, man. Soft and weak, man. Doesn't like
right.
That's not the Chicago people I know.
Well, let's bring you into this conversation. So Carm would like the Bears to at least make a phone call to the Las Vegas Raiders about Davante Adams. And Greg and I are trying to explain to him that, yes, Davante Adams is a great player and will probably help some team very much, but he is not what's ailing the Bears offense right now. That they would, if you're going to trade draft capital, I'd much rather use it on, I don't know, anybody on the offensive line to help advance this thing. Just that's as much as I can summarize that for you briefly. Just what is your reaction?
And Baldy, before you go, just my point is that the Bears have 2 second-round picks next year. Giving up one to get Davante, or hopefully I'm hoping a third-round pick, because who knows if they're going to actually get a second-round pick, and then using a center with the other one, I think that makes perfect sense.
I just don't see Davante being a fit. I just don't. He's going from one quarterback situation, which has been dreadful for him, to another quarterback situation where you're trying to develop a rookie quarterback. You got Keenan Allen there. He's basically, if Keenan stays healthy and gets going, he's kind of the same guy. Get Rome going. DJ finds the end zone. Okay. Get that going. They got the running game going. I don't think Davante's going to help this offense. I love Davante Adams. Everybody does. But I just don't see him being any kind of a difference maker right now.
Hey Baldy, it's I'm Ryan Poles. Or you're Ryan Poles, excuse me, and the Raiders are willing to take Keenan Allen in a third-round pick. You making that trade?
If they move Davante and they need a player, yeah, I would do it.
You're the Bears. I'm giving you Davante. We want Keenan in a third.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd give up on Keenan yet. They're 2-2. They're right in this race right now. I don't know if I would. If I would do that, I'd like to see a little bit more of Keenan. I'd like to see him healthy. And getting out there. I'd like to see a little bit more of them. They're kind of transitioning to this 3 tight end team, which was really good for them last week. I don't know how much of Keenan they're going to get. I really want to see Rome come on. So, but I'm not ready to give up on Keenan yet. I still think there's a place for him in this offense.
Yeah, well, let's get into the trenches, Baldy, because I know how much you love breaking down the trenches. That run game finally got going. It took 4 weeks, but they got there. Cole Kmet with a great block to open up a touchdown run for DeAndre Swift with the nice little fist pump at the end. It had to be a satisfying feeling for them to execute that. From your standpoint, what did you see from an execution level for the Chicago Bears run game?
Well, they went to a lot of 2 tight end sets. Mercedes is still at age 40 is still the best blocking tight end in the league. So him and Cole together in a YY kind of set was really good. I thought Matt Pryor going from right guard to left guard when Tevin got hurt. I thought he stood up pretty tall in there. He's not a great player, but I am a friend of Matt, so I sort of support the kid. He's a massive, massive guy, probably as big as Darnell or anybody else up front. He doesn't have great balance, but he got in the way a little bit last week. They figured out a couple of runs, and they got it cranked up. But I thought the 2 tight ends sets were really, really important. In the touchdown run, they finally got a split. DeAndre showed you. He made the play. He jumped right over, one of those defensive linemen, the Rams. It was a hell of a play on his part just to get to the space and then to get that explosive run. So it was encouraging. It was encouraging watching Swift and watching the line with the tight ends, go to work last week. And they looked like they were really conscious and made a real concerted effort to get that part of this offense working.
Can you explain to me why some offensive linemen just don't feel comfortable switching sides? And where I'm coming on this one is it was fascinating to me that the run game seemed to get going after Tevin got hurt. And like you mentioned, Matt Pryor moved over to the left side. Nate Davis comes back in the game. We've been talking about, I think we talked about it with you a couple weeks ago. Tevin Jenkins was playing right guard before Nate Davis got here. And the idea of having Tevin and Darnell Wright on the same side together is very appealing to a lot of us in Chicago to get that running game going downhill to that side. But Nate Davis, from the time he signed here, it's like, I play right guard. That's where I play. And he's now in a situation where he's literally been benched. He's on the bench. And you would think that at this point, you'd be like, well, why not try Tevin on the right side and Nate on the left and see if maybe that's the combination across the board that gets things going. But that just doesn't seem to be on the table. Nate Davis is just a right guard, and that's the way it is.
It's the only position I've ever seen him play. Going back to the University of Charlotte, he was a right guard. He was right guard in Tennessee. He was terrible. One of the worst guards I've ever seen in my life, the rookie year. But he did get better. And his strength is run blocking. I mean, he's a smaller guy, but he's powerful. Gets underneath people. He gets movement. Matt Pryor was a third or fourth round pick by the Eagles. And, you come to Philadelphia and Jeff Stoutland's your coach. You get cross-trained. You learn every position if you're a backup. You play right side, you play left side. You play tackle, you play guard. So he's trained at these other positions. So for Matt, and plus, he's trying to hang on this business. He's on his third team in 3 years. So he's trying to hang on. So he has to be able to go to the left side. He doesn't have the luxury of saying, no, I'm just a right guard. He can't do that. Like, if he wants to stay in this business, if something happened to Darnell, they'd probably put Pryor at right tackle. So, he has to be versatile, and he's been trained to be versatile. So I think he's got a little bit better feel to go immediately to left guard when Tevin got injured.
Baldy, on your Caleb-o-meter, how close do you think he is to hitting that next level? I know that, I know one play that I think everybody felt really good about was the throw to Kmet down the seam over the linebacker. That was a sweet play. Showed a lot of confidence making that throw.
That throw, the throw to DJ, like what you saw last week. I know he didn't throw for a lot of yards, but you saw a real concerted effort to just trust the protection and stay in the pocket and win from the pocket. And he has that ability we've all seen, the splash plays when things break down quickly. But he really stayed in there last week, and he made 6 or 7 throws from the pocket on timing, including the throw to Kmet down the seam. And it's a throw that a lot of quarterbacks will throw because it's kind of a blind throw down the middle of the field, whether it's a linebacker or whoever's covering that player. It's kind of hard to see the ball and the man at the same time. So you just have to put it to a spot. You got to beat the safeties that are going to converge. So that was a good throw. But he made a number of throws from the pocket, which I thought was a step. Now, he's not Jayden Daniels right now, but he doesn't play in Jayden's offense either. So I don't want to make any comparisons. But I do think that the step I saw was winning from the pocket on timing last week, and that was encouraging to me.
So, look, trust me, we don't want to make comparisons either. It's way too soon for that. That being said, I want to ask you about what Jayden Daniels is doing with Cliff Kingsbury, just kind of isolated to those two guys. Our friends at PHNX are saying, oh, we've seen this Cliff Kingsbury thing before. Like, give it some time. What are you seeing that's working with these two, and is it sustainable?
Oh, it's sustainable. I'm not 82% isn't sustainable. But, they've just played the Giants, the Bengals, all right, and last week, Arizona. And honestly, they've scored on every single drive except for 2. 3 games in a row. Yeah. Like, his ability to sustain offense right now, and because of he's such a fast twitch player without being in a hurry, meaning he can get out of harm's way quicker than anybody, or as quick as anybody, but yet he still stays calm. That's a skill that he has. He doesn't panic. He doesn't sack himself. But so he doesn't take negative plays. They stay on schedule. If Todd Bowles blitzes him like he did in the game against Tampa, as much as he did, he'll get out of the free hitter's way. He'll beat him. He ran, 16 times against Tampa. Allowed him for first downs. So that's number one. He can keep you on schedule. He sees the field very well, but that's Cliff. Cliff's, and I've been around Cliff a lot, but he had Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. He had Baker. He had Mahomes. He had Kyler. He had Caleb. He's had all these guys, and his ability to create plays, literally draw up new plays every week, depending on the anticipated coverage in the down and distance and how to attack it and how to explain it to the quarterback. If the quarterback is studious and wants to put the time in the way Jayden does and has, the reads are going to be much, much, much quicker. And it's not one read. It's not a one-read offense by any stretch. But you're going to know the progression very quickly of where to go with the football.
Should the Bears have hired Cliff?
Yeah. I would encourage anybody to hire Cliff. Now, look, they did go to the playoffs with Kyler. He was a Pro Bowl quarterback with them. He did get hurt one year. And I don't, it's not the best organization in the world. I would hire Cliff in a second. I honestly, I used to do a lot of Texas Tech games for whatever reason. I did Big 12 games. And I'd meet with them every time at a home game on a Friday. And he has this big whiteboard in his office. And he'd be on the phone, talking, whatever. I'd walk in his office. And I'd look at that whiteboard, and he'd have 10 new plays up there. Motions, shifts, formations. And I'm like, where'd this one come from, Cliff? The playbook just evolves. And I like that. As long as the quarterback and the offense has the basics down, where you can then take the basics, whether it's Y stick to start a first down drive, whatever. As long as you get the basics down, the fundamentals, like you can start tinkering and expanding, and that's what he's doing already.
Hit the like button for Baldy. Doing a great job on this is just premium stuff. Go ahead, Bryce.
Yeah, switching over to the defensive side of the ball, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, they've certainly embraced the bend but don't break Lovie Smith days that we've been used to. But these last 2 weeks, they're bending to an Indianapolis team where Anthony Richardson missed some shots that were open. And then this week, or this last Sunday against the Rams, they give up 5 scoring drives. The Rams actually had more scoring drives than the Bears did, and they missed a field goal. So really, it should have been 6 scoring drives. Is there a little too much bend for a defense that we're all kind of looking at as one of the elite defenses in the league? Because Jalen Johnson seems to think they need to hold themselves to a higher standard.
Well, I don't disagree with Jalen. You look at Matt Stafford the week before against San Francisco, he did the same thing. Went up and down the field on him. I mean, this guy is just a salty old pro, and I don't care who he's throwing to, Jordan Whittington or, Tutu Atwell. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, the guy knows where to put the ball. I thought they did enough good things in the game. They gave up, like Kyron Williams led the NFL last year in rushing yards per game. McCaffrey led the league in rushing, but Kyron led the league in rushing yards per game, over 100 yards a game. The guy is an elite back, and he's very difficult to tackle. And so they've got some components that are really, really good. And they went up and down the field in the 49ers the week before and won the game. San Francisco didn't hand it to them. So they did give up a lot last week. Kyron Williams is a hell of a back. I mean, the fact that they won the game against a resilient team and a well-coached team that knows how to protect, really knows how to protect at a different level than most teams in this league, because they have to, because of Stafford. I thought they gave up a lot of yards. They gave up some plays, but I at the end, they won the game. And look, the Rams had a chance at the very end to get to Brisker interception. So, he had 2 interceptions. He had one where he was out of bounds. So, I thought they did enough to make the plays that they needed to make.
So that's, to me, you think this is sustainable for this defense, where regardless of the quarterback or the play caller or the running back they're going up against, that this is kind of going to be the baseline of what we look at week to week of what they're allowing the other team to do.
I think that this defense is going to get better, because I think Austin Booker is going to become a player. You saw flashes last week, but between Booker and Sweat and Taylor, the interior are playing very well right now. The linebackers are really active. I feel like this has a chance to get better. I think if Austin keeps coming on a little bit, and it takes a while for the light to go on in a lot of situations, I think they're going to have a little bit more versatility about how to get to the quarterback and affect him. I have no question that Jalen Johnson at the end of the year is going to have 5 or 6 interceptions. He sees everything too well. He plays the game the right way. They got a real chance to be, a top 10 defense for sure, but a defense that could take the ball away in the top 10 as well. and that's going to keep them in a lot of games in a very tough division right now.
Are you still taking the Lions as your top team in the North, Baldy?
Well, the quarterback just went 18 for 18. They couldn't be stopped the other day. I like them. Carlton Davis on DK Metcalf was a great matchup. I think they're the most talented team in the division. But Minnesota is lights out good, really good. And so these games, I think this division, especially with Jordan Love coming back and what he looked like in the fourth quarter, I think this division is going to become what we thought the AFC North was going to be before the season. I think this is going to be the division that you have to watch every one of these games. Like, it's just going to be that competitive.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. It's like, even if the Bears improve here and keep getting better, it's just the road to having a chance to win this tough division just seems like it's going to be, next to impossible.
Steep.
Yeah. Doesn't mean they can't sneak into a playoff spot maybe, but the division seems tough. Baldy, I want to ask you a question that you used a phrase in your breakdown of Montez Sweat's strip sack the other day that I had not heard before. Chalkboard protection.
Oh, yeah.
What did that mean?
So, I mean, Sean McVay he is a master. I learn every game I watch that guy coaching. I learned something. But, they got Montez Sweat lined up against a tight end, and they got a wide receiver coming across and chipping him. Like, Montez sees that. Like, first of all, tight ends can't block Montez. Like, it's just not allowed. So you're going to dismiss him and then just throw the wide receiver out of the way, and you're going to slide the protection to the other players. And I mean, I played with Reggie White, and Reggie would see those chalkboard protections, and he would just laugh, and he'd throw the tight end out of the way, just hump him and dump him, and then whoever else, the running back coming to chip him, like he'd jump over him. And it looks good on Wednesday when you're drawing it up. It looks good on Thursday when you're walking through it. Montez sees that on the field, it's going to be a sack, and that's what it was.
Baldy, you're the best.
Well, before you go, Baldy, real quick, because I always like to get your thought on the upcoming opponent.
Okay.
The Panthers. Feels like the Bears cannot lose this game with all the mudslinging we've given the Panthers for that trade, a couple of years ago that has kind of set the Bears up for the future. The Panthers have played a little better football with Andy Dalton here under center, and gave it a good game here last week, even though they lost. So your expectations of the Bears-Panthers here coming up on Sunday?
Well, things have completely changed with Andy Dalton at quarterback. They had a chance to win the game last week against Cincinnati, even though they were down 2 touchdowns. I mean, Dalton firing Deontay Johnson, like all these young receivers, Xavier Legette, like the running game. The right guard is a beast. Robert Hunt. They play much better offensively. So that's a challenge there. Defensively, they're still not very good, but they play better with Andy Dalton. Like, they're playing with more confidence. They should win the game, but you can't take this team lightly for 1 second. They are a completely different team. Dalton knows exactly where to go with the ball. He's seen it all, and he's playing probably as well as I've seen him play in a long time. And I don't know, like they're a competitive team right now. And the first 2 weeks, they weren't competitive at all.
I don't like to let negative thoughts enter my brain. I just want to think the Bears are going to win every week. But the one that has crossed my mind here the last couple of days, hearing the Bears at the press conferences talk about going over to London. For us, we're planning all our plans for next week. All the talk this week is about what we need to do. Every day we're in London. For players, I'm sure it's got to be the same thing, right? There's travel, family, there's so many things. So is this a trap game because everyone's thinking about what they have to get done next week in London?
It could be. It happens. I mean, look, the Jets are going to London to play Minnesota this weekend. I know they're leaving Thursday night, get there Friday morning, have a walkthrough of practice, and basically play the game. They're going to try to get all their work done before they go. I don't know what the Bears' plans are, but if they're thinking ahead to London, then yes, this could be a trap because Andy Dalton's got nothing to lose. He's not supposed to be in this situation. He's supposed to help out the young quarterback, and here he is. He's just going out there honestly and letting it fly. And I haven't seen Deontay Johnson play this good in years. Like, he is a legit receiver right now. And I thought he was just a guy in Pittsburgh, but he's winning his routes. Legette doesn't know what he doesn't know, but he's a big old country boy that can run, and he's strong. Jonathan Mingo, like, I don't know. Like the offense line is pretty good. So if the Bears are looking ahead to London, they're going to get it handed to them, I think. So I would stop all that London talk right now and look at the Panthers' last 2 games because they look like a completely different team.
Yeah, the Bears are going Monday to get there Tuesday morning, which I think is a better plan than last time they went on Thursday, got there Friday. It didn't go so well.
That's when I'm traveling.
Yes.
With
So,
the Bears.
Baldy, thanks so much. Great stuff.
You bet. All right, guys, I'll talk to you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.